Hey everybody, this is Dave at Opposing the Matrix. How are you? I'm doing well. If you wanted to know, I'm doing well. Okay. Hey folks, first of all, let's see. It's 7 o'clock p.m. of course on a Tuesday, and it's the 30th of September. We're getting ready to change the clocks, and I did say it was 7 o'clock, right? 7 o'clock Pacific Matrix time. How's that sound, huh? Since we're doing this show about the Matrix and stuff, might as well include it and give it credit where credit's due. Now, you're not going to believe this, but we are broadcasting right now on Twitch, YouTube, Rumble, Kick, Trovo, BitChute, Telegram, and Facebook. That's 8 formats, folks, we're broadcasting on. And I think I'm going to keep it at that for a while. There's a couple more I could use. There's like Odyssey and stuff, but Odyssey's weird. I don't want to get on there. It's a weird thing. And there's another one, a Dcast or something like that. And these is block trains, and they want to give you all these different numbers and stuff that you have to save and use them, should that case arise. And anyway, let's see here. Rocco, come here. Come on up. I want you to see, this is our mascot, Rocco. Okay, he's our Labradoodle. He sees himself in the picture. Okay, Rocco. Okay, you gotta get down now. He's more excited about the show than I am, I think, Okay, go lay down over there, Rocco. Good boy. Michael Savage had his Teddy. I have my Rocco. Okay. All right, here we go. Man, I got one chair. This dog is like trying to take over the whole radio show. Okay. So let's see where we're going here. It's a lot of neat things going on right up the road here. About 3 hours up in Portland. Trump has sent the National Guard in there, actual troops, and telling them do what you got to do. So I don't know. I totally agree with it, but I don't know what the outcome's going to be about it. So we'll have to pray a lot about this one, because I don't know, it takes me all the way back to Kent State back in the early 70s, and when the National Guard went out to Kent State University in Ohio to put down a protest, and they were not supposed to fire. They weren't even supposed to have ammo in their rifles, from what I understand. And anyway, one soldier fired and killed a student, and it was tragic. It really was. Now, there's a light years difference between a student at a college back in the 70s and knuckleheads that are running all over Portland, breaking windows and beating up people and destroying businesses and the whole 9 yards. So, big difference, but still, a life is a life, even if it's a Antifa life. But anyway, I digress. So, let's see here. Bear with me, folks. I got to do something here. I went to raise the sound up on the mic here, and I think I might have done it to where you guys are going to get blasted out of your existence here if I don't lower it down a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and lower it down to back where it was before, and we'll go from there. I've been watching a lot of up-and-coming bloggers lately, especially when it comes to this whole Canada thing. There's a lot of bloggers getting on there from Canada, which is kind of neat, actually. And they're patriots in Canada. Boy, I'm telling you, we're everywhere, aren't we? And also there's another guy, his last name is Morse, does a podcast, an excellent podcast. I mean, he does it for hours and hours. He was young and he could do that, And if he's got a wife, I don't know how he could do it, because, how would she put up with that? But who knows, But yeah, so it's a lot of up-and-coming people getting out there and voicing their opinion, and I'm really happy about that. We've needed more conservatives getting on this whole thing for a long time. And we'll go with that. Okay, so we had a bunch of rain. Oh man, did we have not tornado? We had a torrent of rain last night. I mean, it was like the cloud just opened up and the whole bucket came down on us. It was amazing. It really was. And if you live in Oregon and you've been here a while and you say the rain's amazing, then if you live in another state like California or Arizona, you would totally be it would be like biblical proportions to you. So, okay, so let's get this show on the road, okay? And all right, there, that's that. Okay, good. Hold on a second, folks. All right, here we go. So tonight, why is this night different from all of their nights? It's not really, but we have a new subject to talk about. It's falling in the same vein. It's talking about today's society. Well, today we're going to do, our show is called The Days of Noah, Genetic Manipulation, Fallen Angels, and End Times Parallels. Now, I know I've done The Days of Noah, probably ad nausea, but this just happens to go along in a series. It kind of goes with the flow, so I've got to include this, okay? Otherwise, I would just play one of the shows from a while back and be kicking back with my wife watching TV tonight. But anyway, so we got to ask the question, what if the events of Noah's day were more than a flood story? Right? And we know it is, right? But what if there was a blueprint for what could happen again? Let's see. There was a guy named, I think his name was George Santayana or something like that. And he said, those who don't study history are doomed to repeat it. Now you might go, wow, that is brilliant. That is so brilliant. Well, you know what? Somebody's got them beat by centuries or even millennia when it comes to that certain phrase. And it's much more accentuated and deeper than what I'm going to read now. And this is out of Ecclesiastes. Okay. Ecclesiastes means the preacher. Okay. And it says, it's in, let's see, what is it? Ecclesiastes 1, 9 through 11. It says, the thing that has been, it is that which shall be. And that which is done is that which shall be done. It's hard to read for some reason. Okay, and there is no new thing under the sun. Now I know you've heard that. Okay. Then he asks a question: is there anything whereof it may be say, see, this is new? Then he answers the question: it has been already of old time, which was before us. Now this is before the period of King David, Solomon, and that area. And he's really talking about he says of old time. It's not just of former time, it's of old time. So he's obviously talking about the flood, okay? And it's uncanny that everything that happened before the flood, all the sins and everything, or the transgressions that happened, are the same ones that Yahweh really hates, man. He just hammers home when it comes to these, and you can figure that out for yourself. I don't want to go too deep into that because I am broadcasting on a couple of formats that wouldn't like that too much if I were to say it, but you know what I'm talking about. Okay, and finally it says, there is no remembrance of former things, neither shall there be any remembrance of things that are to come, which with those that shall come after. It makes it sound like there's a terminal condition in the human spirit, doesn't it? Or the human creature, the human society. That we're always going to forget what the past did, unless we study it. Now, if we study it, then it'll be brought into mind. But how many people do that? How many people? I can't see a raise of hands, but like history. Well, I love history. I love studying history because when you look at history, you can look at the future because it's like it says here, it's going to be done again, and that's why, generals, major generals, in wars and stuff like, give you. Well, this doesn't really have to do anything with a period of time, but George Patton, when he was brought to North Africa to fight the Nazis, what was the name of the guy? I can't remember. It's funny because I'm very briefly related to him in some way. Field Marshal, it'll come to me, and then I'll yell it out, and you'll go, what does that have to do with what we're talking about? Okay. But he went in to do a tank battle with him, and he won. And when he was winning and just wiping out the German panzer divisions in North Africa, he said, damn it, Rommel, I read your book. So he knew what his plans were. Well, when we read history, of course, we know that the things that were done in the past and what happened because of those things. And if we want those things to happen, then we proceed. And if not, if we're smart, we stop. And we can't change it, okay? Don't try to. That's the definition, or one of the definitions of insanity. Trying to do something over and over again that's never worked, thinking you're going to have a different result. Okay, that's why. That's why communism is. That's why what Michael Savage says: liberalism is a mental disorder. It has never worked. Communism does not work. Okay, because you're factoring humans, and humans are imperfect, to say the least. Okay. All right, so we go into this with the thought that, and if you're into knowing what's going to happen in the future and stuff, probably in the pretty near future too, if that for that matter. Let's look at prophecy, okay? And I know that lately the shows have been taking a turn to they're a lot more biblical than they were before. Well, that's important because the Matrix is because of something that's mentioned in Scripture. You know, the fall of Adam and Eve, or Adam and Chava in Hebrew. And the whole condition of mankind is because, the result of that. Now, granted, Adam and Chava could not have studied what happened before because they were the first human beings. So they were kind of limited to looking to the past for clues as to what to do in the present or the future. But it's this whole condition that we're in is because of Scripture, and I shouldn't say that because it makes it look like God's the villain. But it's been talked about and written about by Yahweh, and in many cases it's been written because of his perspective of being outside of time and space. He's when he said that I am, he told Moses to tell the people of Israel, tell them that I am sent you. That I am is a very important phrase if you look at it, because it's an imperfective. Okay, it doesn't just mean I am. It means I am, I was, I will be. I was what I am, I will be what I was. Take those things in any combination and put them together, and that's what it means. It's past, present, and future of Yahweh's existence. And again, he lives outside of time and space. There really is no past, present, future, right? He just exists and watches what happens in this linear matrix reality. So, okay, so let's look at the return of Yeshua, okay? Because that's going to bring everything back. He's going to null and void the matrix. Oh man, it's not a day too soon, right? But let's look at him. Return of Yeshua and the repeat of antediluvian society and its return, okay? Because he said that when he comes back, he said it as it wasn't. Let's see, is it right here? Okay. Yeah, it is right here. Okay, this is, I didn't put down this. Oh, yeah, I did. Okay. It's in Matthew. Okay, let's see. I think it's 24, Matthew 24:36. But of that day and hour knoweth no man, not the angels in heaven, but the Father only. Which is pretty neat because Yeshua didn't know it. And I'm confident that he didn't while he was on the earth anyway. Because he said so, and I'm of the opinion that Yeshua never lied, never will lie, never has lied, and all that good stuff. But anyway, but as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Okay, what does that mean? It means that the conditions on earth are going to parallel what they were before the flood. Okay, and remember though, the days of Noah is before the flood. I think he was 600 years old when he started building the ark, or is it 500? It's one of those two, and I think he was 150 years it took him to build it or something. And I might be getting my years off there, sorry, but he lived so much before. He lived after the flood too, to the extent that he could have actually met Abraham. Believe it or not, yeah. Abraham was born during the lifetime of Noah, at the very end of the lifetime of Noah. And as a matter of fact, if you look at some Jewish folklore, at one time, what was his name? The bad guy, Tower of Babel. He was out to kill Abraham because Abraham's father was a good friend of this guy. why I can't remember this guy's name. I'm sorry. It's been a long day, folks. Okay, and I'm old. What can I say? But man, I can't remember. It'll come to me just like the other thing did. So anyway, he was out to get Abraham. So what they did is Abraham snuck off and he went to live with Noah and Shem. That was probably farther up north, somewhere in the mountains, or maybe even close to where Ararat is. But I can't know, and I don't think anybody can ascertain that except for those people, and they're dead. So we'll find out someday, right? Okay. Okay. I got to start out with. Hold on, folks. Zana, no! Mamma mia. Okay. Zana's blind and she just barks at anything the other dogs are barking at. Okay. All right. Now let's continue on with this. What Yeshua said. Okay. So shall the coming of the Son of Man be. And he says, for in the days that were before the flood, they were eating, drinking, marrying, and giving in marriage until the day that Noah entered the ark. Okay. And knew not until the flood came and took them all away. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. It's really going to be a secret, folks. It's going to be a surprise. And wham, bang, boom, he's going to be here. And the first time to take away his kids, which is, all those believers. And the second time is going to be to administer justice to this sick and evil world. Now, that's really nice, that what we read, okay, and it's very clear, and it tells us a lot. But if you go into Luke, it gives us a little more. And I'm going to try to think of a way to navigate through this because it's something that YouTube might not like. So it's also found in Luke, but with a clear understanding. And it says in verse 26 and 27, as it was in the days of Noah, so shall be at the days of the Son of Man. Okay, ready? They did eat, they drank, they married wives, they were given in marriage until the day that Noah entered into the ark and the flood came and destroyed them all. Now, in ancient societies, like in Noah's time, I'm sure, and the times after, and we're talking about Israel, the time when the scriptures are written, the first 5 books were written by Moses, and then the rest of them were penned by other authors. But it was a tradition that the women are always given to the men, always given away to the men. Okay, and never the opposite, never. Okay, and that's just the way culture was, and it was that way for many years, probably up through the 1800s, even in the United States. But you've heard of the tradition: you go and ask for her hand in marriage. Well, that comes from that. Okay, but so I wonder how many people picked up on what I just said, even with giving you that clue. Yeshua says in Luke's account of the same conversation. And this is very revelatory, and it hits like an artillery shell, dead center, because it gives you one big clue of something that's going to be going on when Yeshua comes back. Okay, Yeshua said that they married wives, no big deal. That happens all the time. And they were drinking and eating, like he said, and that happens all the time too, right? The sentence after that gives it away, and it says that men were given in marriage. Never happened, folks. Never happened in the ancient world. Okay. I mean, unless there was in Amazonia or something, there was a tribe of women, and they were, But as far as we can tell, it's never happened since the flood. But it did happen before the flood, because he says right here. And what does that mean? Well, it talks about same-sex unions. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. And I got to be real careful here because I'm a very opinionated man, and I don't want to be opinionated in this case. Let's see. So it implies that that lifestyle was rampant in the pre-flood world and afterwards, and we know that too because of Sodom and Gomorrah and the things that happened there. Okay. So it seemed to be a big problem before the flood, which is what the Bible says. And it's been a situation that's been occurring since then too, although probably not in the numbers that it was before the flood, and not like it is today. Okay. All right. So this gives us credence, or gives credence to the scripture in Ecclesiastes, and it's backed up by the same discourse in the Gospel of Matthew. That nothing new under the sun, folks. It's all happened before. So if you think you come across something new, forget about it. Because imagine if there were copyright laws of before the flood and that carried over after the flood. Nobody'd be able to write anything because there's nothing new under the sun, right? All right. So Genesis 6, 1 through 4, we have an anchor passage, okay? Okay, slow down. All right. And it says, "And it came to pass that when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, and they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose." Doesn't make it sound like it was voluntary, does it? All right, let's see. "And the Lord said, My spirit shall not always strive with man, for he is also flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. Okay, now, some people, for years, I heard that meant that, okay, man's not going to live to be more than 120 years old. Well, that's blown out of the water, because we know that there are people that have lived in their hundreds, 30s, 140s. Either they're lying or Scripture's lying, and I don't believe Scripture's lying. So what it's referring to is that from that point, it was going to be 120 years to the flood. Okay? All right. Let's see. And then it says there were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that. And if you look at the punctuation, it says there were giants in earth in those days, comma, and also after that. So that creates a different period. Okay, it's not that it was later in those days, or just a few days after those days. No, it was after that period, that epoch. Okay, let's see. Okay, there were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men which are of old, and men of renown. There are two theories where the sons of God are concerned. One is that the sons of God were fallen angels, and they had union with human females, excuse me. And the other one is that that they were the righteous line of Seth. Now, I know many people, many couples that one's a believer and one's not. Okay? And I've never seen any of them produce giants. Or anything that the Nephilim are said to have been like, okay? So that kind of blows it out of the water right there. But to say that, it just doesn't make sense to me, folks. It doesn't. The fallen angels make so much more sense. Because, look at it, these things weren't just people that suffered from gigantism, which is a real physical disorder, DNA disorder, actually. No, this was a race of people that were produced, okay? A race of giants, not just a few here and there. No, there were probably maybe millions of them on Earth. And before they were all destroyed each other. And that's another story all in itself. But, so yes, this is a union between something supernatural and something natural. Now, we'll go into this later about spiritual bodies and physical bodies. So, I think we will anyway. This document is really long. Okay, so we're going to go into another segment now. Biblical historical context. Describe the Nephilim, Watchers, and human corruption. Well, do you have a couple of hours? Jeez. That's a question that, asking me to do something that, I could really go for a day on at least. Okay, so in the passages that we read, we're introduced to three distinct entity types. The first were humans of the female gender. Okay, of course there were males back then, but the males didn't really fit into the equation of producing the giants. So, but there's another thing for you right there, that they weren't the sons of Seth. Okay, let's see, female gender, who the verbiage donates were unwilling participants. Yeah, it sure sounds that way to me. And but you know what? Considering this, the allure that angels can have. Even in our society, everybody's fascinated with angels, and but if one could come off presenting itself as something very beautiful that a woman would desire, it's possible that after the first few years of that activity happening, that women just said, "Oh yeah, well it's everybody's doing it. It's the thing. Let's go." People are. But let's see. The second group is what the scriptures call the sons of God, and in the first covenant, or people call it the Old Testament. When these sons of God are mentioned, they're in terms of they refer to angels, okay, and fallen angels at that. In this instance, if you read about the divine council, which we talked about, was it last week? I think sometime. That the sons of God were there. They were a special group of angels they were called watchers, and they were sent to the earth to watch over mankind, to lead mankind in the right direction, and not let them stray far from either way, and maybe give them a little bit of help when it came to farming and stuff like that. So that's who the sons of God were, the watchers. And let's see. Okay, the third group were called Nephilim, which were the offspring of the union between the human females and the fallen angels. The word Nephal in Hebrew, it means fallen. Okay, it means not quite measuring up to what they're supposed to be, fallen from grace. If you've ever done anything to really tick off your parents, or anybody, but ruin Thanksgiving dinner, you were fallen from grace for a little while anyway, until they forgave you. But this is much more serious, because these are their fathers, the fallen angels or the watchers, were angels, of course, but they left their first estate, which I think it says in James, or is it Jude, I think. But anyway, so they were living in a perfect state, and they decided, no, we don't want this. We want something else. So that's worse than an ignorant sin of eating a fruit off a tree. But still, it's two wrongs never make a right? Okay. So we talked about fallen, the offspring of this unnatural union between the fallen angels and the human females. That's who they were. The name aptly fits because they came from human females. I might be going over something twice here. They came from human females, or fallen mankind, okay? Fallen from the perfect state and thrust into the matrix. And thanks to them, we were living in the matrix. And I don't want to be accusatory, but I would really love it if we could just be sitting in our little huts in the paradise right now, just drinking a mild drink, non-alcoholic, and sitting there and talking about nice things. The humans that were thrust into the matrix, and rebellious angels which left their first estate, becoming fallen from perfection into a sin nature. Imagine that. I can't. Being with Almighty God and having the promise of doing it for eternity, being with Him for eternity, and living perfect and everything else, and then you decide, that gal over there, she's really cute. I don't want to do this anymore, and you leave. I can't fathom it, but I don't know. I think it's because we live in this life, and we're so sick of this earth and everything it's about, that we just want to go be with Yahweh. And so we've lived through this garbage heap, so to speak, and we want something nice. They were living in something nice and decided for the garbage heap. I don't know. That doesn't make sense to me. I can understand as a guy the allure of a woman, but at the same time, we got to pick our priorities the right way, I think. Okay, so let's see. If you remember the show from last Thursday, I talked about, it was last Thursday, I talked about the sons of God, and they were part of the divine council. And that was a class of angel that inhabits heaven, also called a watcher. All the angel classes met with Yahweh, who presided over the divine council. the divine counsel that is revealed to us in Psalm 82, and it appears to be almost like a courtroom or a judgment scene at the very end, after or as the infraction is being read and judgment is being rendered. So it's a courtroom scene with the sons of God or the watchers being judged for their lack of concern and their alliance with wicked doers of the earth. And that's what, if you read Psalm 82, that's what Yahweh was saying. He was saying, you allied yourself. You were supposed to be there for the weak and the needy and to guide mankind, but what you did is you took up the cause of the evil people and you helped them to oppress the weak and the needy. And that's why they were judged the way they were. And at the final judgment, we'll get to see them being cast off into the wonderful lake of fire. Let's see. Yeah, so the very people they're supposed to guard, they fudged on, and I truly believe the sons of God were the ones that left their estate, the entities in Genesis chapter 6 that cohabitated with human females and produced the Nephilim. Wow. Sorry, I still find it kind of hard to fathom. I can understand it, but I can't understand it. So while it seems, and rightly so, that humans are the victims of the whole story, it is true that after the exposure to the sons of God, mankind had become corrupted, even more than they were before. The fallen angels gave mankind forms of technology and taught humans how to use it. For instance, mankind was given the knowledge of how to work metal, how to find it and refine it, and then work it and to form weapons out of it. Humans were also taught about the occult practices and how to worship nature. You got to understand that before the Nephilim killed each other off, there were no demons. Okay, the spirits of the Nephilim that were killed off, they are the demons, and that's what it says in Enoch chapter 6 or 7. They have no right now. They have no physical form because they were born of a spiritual being and a physical being. There's really no assignment for them. They can't be saved. They can't go to heaven. So they have to live in an existence where they're disembodied, but they like to place themselves into people that will allow them to do so. Okay. Let's see. Now that I lost my place, I got to learn how to mark things. Humans are taught about the occult practices, how to worship nature. Okay. So it might seem that mankind was a victim, and most certainly was. It became complicit with the darkness, however, though mankind did so much so that it caught Yahweh's attention. Because now you have the fallen angels that are messing around, you have the Nephilim, and you have mankind that's totally gone off the wall. And you can see why Yahweh said it repented him that he created man. Let's see. So it caused Yahweh to make a decision to destroy not only mankind, but also the face of the earth and all the animals that had lived on the earth. It said anything that had breath, Yahweh destroyed. Anything that breathed there, Yahweh destroyed. And sending a flood against fish isn't really going to do anything. But a lot of birds and a lot of mammals died at that time. But you got to remember, a lot of the animals were corrupted. The giants had taught, the fallen angels had taught humanity how to corrupt DNA and how to make weird creatures like the Greeks had, the Minotaur and the Centaur and Cyclops and Medusa and all those things. I don't think that they were imaginatory things. I think that they really existed, and that the Greeks remembered that and brought it into their stories of their current era. The Greeks, although they believed in mythology and stuff like that, they weren't stupid, and I don't think that they made that stuff up. It was their memory that they brought back and incorporated into their own new stories. Okay. let's see. Now let's look at Yahweh's judgment and preservation of Noah's family. Okay, because that's tantamount to a lot that we're talking about today. Um, I think, though, since we're getting into Noah, we're leaving the in a sense, we're leaving the antediluvian world. I think it's okay. Here we go. A few years ago, we had a guest on here, Brian, our former co-host, or our missing co-host. He was with me, and we heard this fellow, and so was Jim Wilhelmsen. And his name was Jonathan Gray. He's an archaeologist from Australia. Not Australia, New Zealand. I'm sorry. Sorry for you people in New Zealand. I didn't mean to say that, and I didn't mean anything by that for you people in Australia either. Okay. So I got to be kind of friends with him, and we talked a lot. And he was on the show maybe 5 or 6 times. And as a matter of fact, if you're interested, last time I talked with him, he told me that he knew that time was getting short in regards to himself, but his life here on Earth, but also, and I think more, he was said that time was getting short where mankind was concerned, and that things were going to start happening soon, and that people needed to get educated now, not later, but now. So he gave me permission to put all of his books on my website. Okay, they're all there in PDF form, and if you go to delusionresistance.org and you look over to the right and scroll down a little bit, you'll see something like Jonathan's books. Okay, I keep wanting to say Jonathan Kahn for some reason. It's not that. Jonathan Gray. You'll say Jonathan Gray's books, and then you can scroll through there. And the story I'm going to tell you right now, it comes out of Dead Man's Tales. It's the second book. It's called Updated Dead Man's Tales. Okay. All right, and I'm gonna let you read this along with me, okay? Or you could look at it while I'm reading it, whatever the case may be. So hold on a second. I got to juggle a few things around here. Move a few things around. Okay, so. Okay, that's open now, and now I got to do this. Okay, there it is. Give me a chance, folks. I'm just going to pull this up. Pull it up here so I can read it while you're looking at it, and I want to move it all the way up to the top. Okay, just to give you a background, this is a story that was related to him, and it involves some coal miners in Russia who are at least 1,000 or 2 feet below the ground, who had found a cavity in the coal, and they found a box in there, and in the box there was a mirror. Well, it looked like a mirror, but it looked like a golden mirror. You'll see when I read here. But well, let me just read, and we'll go from there. And he says in his book, could this be the greatest find of all time? What do you think? My normal meticulous checking processes have been blocked in this case. So it even mystified Jonathan Gray. So let's see here. All right, ancient circuit board mirror found in a mine thousands of feet deep. The reported discovery was made thousands of feet deep in a mine in Russia. A miner came up with what looked like one of those fireproof security boxes that people put their valuables in. Just the fact that something or someone like this could have been found so far down in the earth was shocking enough, but once the x-rays were done and they finally decided to open it, the shock was just beginning. Just beginning, this is true. My informant, and this is Jonathan speaking, hold on, where'd it go? My informant, name protected, reports, quote, inside the box was a mirror, or at least it looked like one. It was not glass, though. It sounded and looked like gold metal, but so smooth and shiny that it had a look like a gold mirror. It was approximately 5 inches by 8 inches by 1/2 inch thick. It had a gold edging around it, but no seam could be detected. Excuse me. After X-rays of the mirror, it appeared to be hollow, but the inside of it troubled the minds of some because in the center was something that looked like a circuit board. Now remember, folks, this is from before the flood. Okay, a circuit board before the flood. Okay, don't tell don't tell the public. Let's see, when the box was brought into our laboratory, we knew, we knew that it was not going to be out to the public. But after this, we knew that just a few of us were going to know what was going on from this point on. Okay, let me do this so I can not lose my thing. Okay. Never had any object undergone so many tests. This mirror had everything known to us done to it. And then one day, while one of the scientists was holding it in his hand, something strange happened. It turned white, and black lines of what looked like a foreign language appeared to be on it for just a second. He nearly dropped it and yelled for everyone to look, but as soon as it displayed the black words, it returned to gold mirror. 6 times in the next 5 months, this happened. And on the 7th time, we discovered that it happened at exactly the same instant as another group of scientists were performing experiments with low frequency in another building. All right, that makes sense, right? All right. Okay, black letters appear. When we took the mirror to their building and they turned on the testing equipment, and see, now they're getting more people involved, and it's not a good thing, but it never says whether there's something happened or not. But anyway, let's see. Their testing equipment, the mirror turned white with lines of black. Black letters appeared in the mirror. Photographs were taken of the writing, and no one of the top peoples of the field could tell what language it was. We had a problem. We didn't want to tell anyone where this strange language came from, but we had to get outside help. We finally decided to use military decoding people. At least they would keep silent. They didn't need to know where the writing came from. In fact, they didn't even know that it appeared on the mirror. All they saw was the photograph of the writing. There seemed to be no end to the writing. It just went on and on, page after page, and then one day it stopped. I really don't like this PDF reader here. Oh my goodness, it went all the way back. Okay, hold on, folks. I thought I was just hitting the arrows down. Okay, let's see. All right. 6 times next 5 months. Black letters appear. I think we read that. No. Okay, so there we go. They involved the military. All they saw was the photograph. Okay. We wondered why it stopped, even though the low frequency equipment was still going. It wasn't until we tried to duplicate the experiment a week later that we discovered that when it came to a stop, if we could touch a certain spot on the side of the mirror, that it would start with writing all over again. Wow, I'm telling you, I'm getting frustrated with this. Okay, let's see. Bear with me, folks. I gotta really figure out what's going on. This PDF reader is not my favorite thing in the world here. Okay, here we go. It wasn't until we tried to duplicate this experiment a week later we discovered that when it came to stop, if we could touch a certain spot on the side of the mirror, that it would start with the writing all over again. Then the shock of all shocks, I was holding the mirror in my hand and looked deeply into it and touched 2 places on okay, let's see, okay. So 2 places on. Okay, it's the next page then. On the back of it, and the mirror turned into a picture in a gold frame. Ancient photo shots. It was a scenery picture, beautiful in color, and obviously taken in a dense vegetation area. But where? Nothing looked familiar. What was this mirror? As others gathered around to look, I touched it again, and a different picture appeared, and this was a picture of a small stream with people standing beside it. that looked as modern as us, dressed in sophisticated clothing, like anyone you'd meet on the street right here in this country. But when when was the picture taken? Who were these people? I guess that the pictures had something to do with the writing. There were 15 pictures, and they all appeared to be of the certain family. Some of the pictures included modern-type buildings and vehicles I couldn't explain. Others, other than people were writing on them. Okay. One showed a young man holding a globe, but nothing looked familiar on the landmass. Could this be pictures of pictures of a recording device from another planet? I thought what we have here is a time capsule, but from what time and from where? Photographs on the pictures were taken, as well as the whole writing sequence for over 12 years now. Every expert we have at our disposal has been working on this project. Don't think for a moment that the things of the world were top priority. This was top priority. Ancient writing decoded. They finally, okay, here we go. The decoding program, or people, ran every word of the strange language through their supercomputers, and then it happened. Things started to click. They started to make some sense of the words. And what came to be translation would shock all of mankind, but it was never to be let out to the world. Okay. Let's see. Oh boy. Okay, it couldn't be let out. The government wouldn't allow it to be let out. I could not get the photos out of the picture. Wait a minute. I could not get the photos of the pictures out, but I did devise a way to scan and send to a private computer the translation of it. Now my life is in mortal danger. They do not know who made a copy, but they know that one was made. This is why I am giving it to you. They will soon put two and two together and know it was from me. My life won't be worth a coin. The only way to keep them from killing everyone who has this is to publish it and get it into as many hands as possible. Then all they will be able to do is to claim that it was a fraud or a crackpot story. They will disavow any knowledge of any of us who worked on the project and will deny any knowledge of the Mirror Project 77. Now, assume it's 1977. This is still the Soviet Union. Okay, folks, this is why all the mystery and everything. And you know that the Soviet Union was a highly atheistic country, or government, I should say. And any knowledge that would divulge an existence of Yahweh or that would prove the Bible to be true would definitely be locked away somewhere and never out. Okay, if you can get this published, some will believe, he said. This is the end of his letter. What the ancient message says. Okay, let's see, go down a little more here. All right. Well, we took the mirror to their building, and they turned on the testing equipment. The mirror turned white. Okay, photos were taken of the writing, and no one. Oh, what is going on here? This is crazy. Ancient photo shots. I read that. Ancient writing decoded. All right, what the ancient message says. All right, here we go. Here are extracts I have made from what was translated. Quote, this is the 800th year. I, Jubal, the son of Lamech, want to leave this history to my children and all those who follow me. I want to tell the other side of the story, the true version, not the religious foolishness of my great-great-great-grandfather. From the very beginning, there were some of us who knew that the false teachings of Adam had to be stopped. They were corrupting our children. Arguments were a daily thing, and we moved away from them. Our original body glow. I remember as a child that we all had a glow about us. Now it seems that we are not as glowing. They lost nearly half of their light. he told us because of the change, the great fear came upon them. Now it seems that we are not glowing as the other group, which would be the Adamites, I guess. But these came on so gradually that no one thought much about it. Another thing I have noticed is the diminishing of the quickness of mind. We seem not to be as sharp as we were in the beginning. We have to think things out and reason, whereas before we just seemed to know the answer of whatever the problem was. The same with the power of the mind. We used to be able to do many things with our minds, but we have lost the power for some reason. But we just invent a machine to do the work, so it is no problem. Okay, early vehicles invented. We made vehicles to transport us when we could not transport ourselves with our minds anymore. We devoted many years to trying to restore our mental powers, but could not, so inventing things to make up the difference. We were growing day by day, and our inventions were glorious to behold. I must mean. The sad thing is that the time came when our children and grandchildren didn't believe us when we said that we used to have the power. Adam and his followers are consistently trying to get us to return to the old ways. What would we want to do? What would we want to? He's living in the past. Our technology and our transportation is so great that we are the marvel of the world. We have proven that we do not need the old ways of Adam. All right, we're almost to the end, folks. Space travel beginning. In fact, this guy says, the rumors floating around that we will soon be able to transport to the moon. We have gone to the very corners of the earth. Why not to the moon? The sky is the limit. The sky is the limit for our people. When my family and I flew to Zan the other day, we noticed that some of the lush foliage was gone from the earth. I wondered what's causing that. With so many changes in my life, I wonder what. Okay, there's just some of the, that's just some of the document. Okay, and it ends. Okay, so we can just put this, actually we can do this. All right. So there you go, folks. So if you want to believe it, I do. I think it's real. It just, what he's describing just makes a lot of sense, and it would be what would happen in a world that was decaying, and the friction between the Adamites and the Cainites, and things like that. So it's not like it's something that I think that somebody sat there and made up. So, but the fact that it was Jubal writing, it's very Jubal was a very important person. He invented a lot of things. Probably were given a lot of things by fallen angels, but it said that he invented a lot of things. So anyway, let's get back to the case at hand here. Okay, let's see. So we need to nail down some stuff before we continue with this one section. First off, during the end of the antediluvian world and before it was destroyed and the Nephilim had been a long time dead, a decree came down from Yahweh that the Nephilim would battle. Wait a minute. I'm saying that they were a long time dead. Okay, this is what led to their death. A decree came down from Yahweh that the Nephilim would battle each other with the sword, and that day they would keep fighting until the Nephilim are all dead. Yahweh would do this for twofold reasons. First, the Nephilim were an abomination that he that was responsible for the near extinction of the human race, not to mention all the animals on earth. And what do I mean by that? It says that in Enoch, or is it, I think it's Enoch or Jasher, it says that they consumed all the things of mankind, and when those things were used up, they consumed men that ate people. So, okay. First, they were abomination, responsible for the near extinction of the human race. Second, the mass slaughter was done more to punish the fathers, who were the fallen angels. They would have to watch their offspring die. Those of mankind who had remained had been corrupted beyond measure. They had taken the technology that the angels had given them and found ways to corrupt that technology even further. For instance, sometime during the angelic intrusion, the angels had taught men how to manipulate DNA and how to crossbreed animals, not just within species, but across species lines. Some, if not all, of the excuse me, the strange creatures that we read about in Greek mythology were probably not mythical, but memories that some Greeks had that was retained from before the flood, and that would have been retained by Japheth, because he was the father of the European peoples. So that's where he would have gotten that information from, or one of his uncles. He got two uncles. Let's see, the strange thing. Okay, for the memories of of the creatures such as the Minotaur, the Centaur, the Cyclops, and even Medusa, very strange creatures indeed that needed to be a bridge that extended from the antediluvian world to the post-diluvian world. There are only 4 men who could have brought that memory across the bridge. That's Noah, Ham, Shem, and Japheth. All who could have been witnesses to see these creatures firsthand. Since the Greeks were the ones that retained the memory of these creatures, we have to give that award to Japheth for bridging. I'm sorry I do this, folks. I always go ahead and say it, and then I read it. So forgive me. I'll try not to do that anymore. Japheth for bringing the memories of these hideous and mutated creatures to our present memory. I guess that we should be happy that Jacob bought these memories. Jacob. Okay, hold on. Memories across the bridge because, okay. I don't know why I said Jacob. Brought the memories across the bridge because they are proof of what is mentioned in the first book of First Enoch and a couple of other extra biblical books. Even just one of these abominable practices that were prevalent in the antediluvian world had permeated humanity. The next thing we're going to look at is to mention. We'll hit the ball right out of the park, actually. Although the Nephilim were all dead at this time, and the fallen angels had been cast into Tartarus, there still remained the fact that the majority of humanity had somehow been tainted with Nephilim DNA. If one person with DNA from the Nephilim or the Nephilim had survived themselves, it would have jeopardized the seed of the woman, which Yahweh said right at the exile of the couple from the Garden of Eden, that both the women and the Nakash would prevail. That the seed of the woman and the seed of the Nakash would fight, and but that the seed of the man or the woman would prevail over the seed of the serpent. Okay, Yahweh cannot take a chance of having pure human seed corrupted. Therefore, all animals that breathe through their nose and all humans had to be obliterated. All right, and remember, the angels are in Tartarus now at this time, and the Nephilim are all dead because they killed each other by the sword. Okay, Scripture says that the only person that did not have corrupted blood was a man named Noah. It says he was perfect in his generations, meaning that that his DNA was uncorrupted. He had a pure line of DNA right from Adam, right up to Noah. Okay, we can only assume that Noah's wife, Naamah, also had pure blood. There are only 2 men that we know of who lived before the flood who had the name Lamech. The first was an offspring of Cain, and the second was actually Noah's father. Now, I got this wrong. After I wrote this, I realized that, and I want to explain that. Lamech that we're talking about, that let's see, his wife was Naamah. Naamah was actually born to the Canaanite Lamech. So I had it to where he was born to the Adamic Lamech, but no, if you read the history and everything, the Lamech from Cain had daughters, and that's who married. That's the one that was Noah's mother. Let's see. So I got to reject all that. So I got to reject all that too. Okay, the names of the wives of Ham, Shem, and Jacob, it seems, were preserved in the book of Jubilees. Yet another extra biblical book that's full of a lot of good information and mirrors the biblical narrative almost exactly. It's called like the mini Genesis or something, if I remember correctly. I've decided to cut and paste the names of the wives, and I'm going to try to read these. Okay, you're going to be a witness of me trying to read these names. Okay, Shem's wife, and this is the hardest one. And the good thing I broke them up phonetically. Sedekah Telabab. Okay, and it is spelled in English Sedequetelebab. Imagine being the person that brought that union together in marriage, pronouncing that. Do you Sedekah Telabab take? Yeah, okay. Ham's wife was named Eletamok. And Jacob's wife was a little easier. Japheth, not Jacob. Was a little easier. Asadonisis. Okay. It almost sounds like a Greek name, doesn't it? We never know the heritage of these three women, whether they were Adamites or Canaanites. But we can be sure of at least two things. First thing is that they could not have any tie whatsoever to the line of Cain, which is wrong because they did. They may have, actually. And second, Noah being a righteous man, as his father Lamech, the good Lamech, and his grandfather Methuselah, all three would have conducted a massive research effort to conduct an ancestry search of the families of all three of these young ladies. And let me tell you a story that happened that I read about here. It has to do with, let me see if I get this right. Okay, yeah. So Lamech is married to Naamah, okay, and they have Noah. She gives birth to Noah, and he looks different from everybody else. His skin is fairer. They said his eyes would, like when they opened, would brighten up a room. And everything else. I don't know if that was figurative or that really did happen, but anyway, he was so different that Noah freaked out. Not Noah. Yeah. No. Lamech freaked out because he was the one that was the father of Noah. I'll get this straight. Hopefully. Should have got it straight before the show. Anyway, so when Noah was born, he looked so different that it freaked him out. He thought that maybe a fallen angel had gotten to his wife and made love to her and produced a Nephilim hybrid, human Nephilim hybrid, and or a fallen angel produced it, thus making him a Nephilim. But anyway, so Lamech went to his father Methuselah and said, I've got a problem here. This kid doesn't look like us. He looks different. He's much fairer than we are. His eyes, when he opens his eyes, they light up the whole room, and it amazes everybody. And he goes into like 3 or 4 different other things too. And he says, I don't know if this is a child is from me or if it's from one of the watchers. And so Methuselah, I guess they all prayed about it. Methuselah said, don't worry about it. The child's normal. He's okay. He's just got one heck of a future ahead of him, and he's special to Yahweh. Let's see. So, so we could be pretty sure that none of the descendants or none of the family members of Noah brought the DNA gene over across the bridge from the past world to the new world. And we'll go with that, okay? It's much more involved than that, but to save time and to keep us from going way, way past where we want to go, I'd just like to continue here. So let's look at fringe and scientific connections, okay? Now, what about genetic engineering and transhumanism as a modern Nephilim attempts, okay? I've done a lot of study into the alien abduction phenomena, and have concluded, as has Dr. David Jacobs and many others, that they're trying to produce a race of alien-human hybrids that are going to try to replace us, or they're going to try to replace us with these hybrids. And right now, as far as I can tell, they haven't perfected it because these things have to be taught, and they constantly mess up when they're brought out into public and stuff. But and if oh man, let me see if I got the book here. Oh, Rocco, look out! It's by Dr. David Jacobs, and it's a whole book about him. About rock. Him. I don't have it in here. I don't think. I'll look it up and I'll put it on the website. Okay. But he goes into the whole history of the alien-human hybrid thing, and about the abductions and what happens. Of course, we've heard many stories about that, but also what they're using the sperm and ovum for and stuff like that. So it's quite interesting, and it's something that we need to consider when we're looking at this strange world we're entering into in this matrix, and it's only going to get stranger. Okay, all right. See here. Let's see. Okay. I'm happy that the enemy was never successful in corrupting the woman's seed, and that before Yeshua was born, and he was born and had a successful ministry and became our sacrificed lamb on the cross and rose again on the third day. Thankful for all that. And Yahweh had to go through extensive means in order for that to happen. Several things happened in the Tanakh that. If it were allowed to happen or continue, would have corrupted the seed of men or the seed of the woman, and could have put the birth of Yeshua, at least put it off, or made it so it wouldn't happen at all. So, but you always got things under control. So it's just not a matter of how, but when. Basically, when he does things. So we might ask why the enemy hasn't just given up, okay? He wasn't successful in corrupting a seed before Yeshua's birth or ministry. So let's ask the question is, why do we want to keep doing it? Why continue to pursue transhumanism by giving mankind the technology to do so? Wow, that's a loaded question with lots of answers, okay? Why would they want to recreate the Nephilim all over again? Another question. Well, some of them, we'll get into that. I'm not going to do what I did before. Now, I feel that there's a rabid hatred for Yahweh that Satan has, and most of or if not all of the demons and fallen angels. Rabid hatred for Yahweh that has caused this to happen. The seed of the woman, Yeshua, was successful and victorious, and you always see every person that comes to faith in him we become adopted into the family of Yahweh. Let me explain myself, folks. A lot of times my fingers on my right hand are kind of dead. They still work, but they're numb, and I can't type as much as I used to. So I use a program that lets me talk, and it enters the text in, and sometimes it puts some strange stuff in there. So that's why I kind of hedge and stop. And it's not that I don't know what I'm talking about. It's that if I'm going to read it, I have to read it coherently, and that's why I stopped. So please understand that's the reason. Okay. Let's see. So we're adopted as a son or a daughter of Yahweh, right? It says that in Scripture. We're not just the kingdom of Yahweh. We're the family of Yahweh. Okay. It would make sense that the enemy would try to hurt Yahweh in any way possible, right? I mean, he failed in the past, so why not do everything you can to make this a miserable time before your return of Yeshua? Let's see. The enemy would try to make null and void the promises that Yahweh set forth for his people, meaning believers, both Jews and Gentiles. Let's see. All right. It's important, of course, to remember that Yahweh says in Scripture that he made man after his image, after his likeness. So when the enemy sees you and me, and any human being, okay, not just believers in Yahweh or believers in Yeshua, but any human being, when he sees them, it reminds him of Yahweh, okay? Because we're made in the image of Yahweh. So it's for lack of better words, it's almost like we're paintings of Yahweh that are walking around, and the enemy sees all these paintings of Yahweh and just says, "No, I got to obliterate that." So we also remember that Satan and his minions are 100-time losers, okay, if not more, at the very least. And in seeing any visage or anything that looks like Yahweh that reminds him of his enemy, which is Yahweh, would make him want to rid the world of human beings, right? You ever had a picnic or been in your house and there's 20 or 30 flies in there, and you can't concentrate on watching the movie you're trying to do or eating the food that you've prepared or your wife's prepared or whatever, until those flies are gone. So you make a mission out of grabbing the fly swatter and dispatching every one of those flies that are in that room, so you can eat comfortably and not be bothered. So that's, you can take that as a loose kind of idiom of what Satan's trying to do to get rid of people that remind him of Yahweh. Okay. In addition to how humankind is made in God's image, we have to look at the DNA structure of the human being. It's just that what Yahweh intended it to be when he created it. And it makes us special because we're built by blueprints, okay? Human beings are special creation, and let's see. And imagine the sick joy that Satan would get out of corrupting the human genome or killing off a majority of the humans. He doesn't like the sound. What? He doesn't like the sound of a contemporary. Doesn't that sound like a contemporary history lesson, basically, meaning what's happened in the last 3 or 4 years with getting rid of humankind? Okay. Let's see. Transhumanism could be seen as a culmination of all the wicked things that Satan has planned for Yahweh's people. We're told by the likes of Yuval Harari, who is an Israeli scientist and historian, and he has many hats he wears, has plans for Yahweh's people. He's told by we're told by the likes of this Yuval Harari, and Yuval is just is Hebrew for Jubal, which is a Canaanite character in the Old Testament. That humans need an upgrade. That's what he says. We could be hacked and we need an upgrade. He says that things like personal sovereignty and self are all evil and dangerous things. He promises that if we follow his instructions or directions, that we can live in this corrupted matrix for eons and not die from old age or sickness. Can you imagine living in this garbage forever and ever, or as long as time is allowed to exist? Anyway. Don't pick me. He even said that becoming transhuman will make you, in effect, a God figure. That's what he said. He said we'll all become gods. Let's see. He has no problem speaking blasphemies against Yahweh. Oh boy, some of the things he says. Remember that the promises that came from the serpent in the Garden of Eden and many other places, that if we do it his way, we can live forever and we could be like Yahweh himself. The biggest lie that mankind has believed and tried to do for endless months, days, and years that we've existed on this earth. Imagine being stuck in this matrix forever. I've asked that before. Yes, your conscience might be melded into a machine, because that's what they're planning on doing. They want to take your conscience out of you and put you in a machine, a computer, I'm assuming, and just so that it won't wear out. They're saying, your body will wear out, but this would never wear out. But there's big downsides to this. Okay, it's stupid to begin with, but okay. So meld your conscience in a machine, and you can obtain the information, all the information, and any information you possibly want. If it involves anything physical, just forget it, okay? Because you're not going to have a body anymore. You're now part of a computer, the member of a hive mentality with no rest, no privacy, and if you have a thought, it is shared with everyone else in the world or in the hive. and that's the whole. It's really weird. Everything that's satanic, like alien abduction, those aliens, or they're not aliens, they're fallen angels, of course, but they all claim to live in a hive mentality where each one knows what the other one's thinking and everything else. And I, for one, do not like that idea. And I know you don't either if you're listening to this show. Let's see. You're not part of the computer, the member of a hive mentality with no rest, no privacy. And if you have a thought, it's shared with everyone else in the hive mentality or the hive. I think that I can assuredly say that just a short time in that science fiction horror show, you would have had enough, but there's no going back. So you would crave death, but it would not come to you. Right? We read that in Scripture. Except that if all the electricity is lost and all the batteries discharged and no power reaches your electronic hellhole, then maybe you die, and or your consciousness would die, or your spirit, or I don't know, your soul, whatever you want to say. It's a weird thought. It's so weird that it's hard to comprehend and it's hard to talk about even. Such a scenario could make a Twilight Zone episode that would be the bestseller, right? Heck, it could be made into a Twilight Zone full-length movie with innumerable sequels, if you want to go even farther. Okay, now let's look at something that they had before. And I put this in there especially because we're talking about the world being like it was in Adam's time when Yeshua comes back. Sorry, folks, it's getting stinking cold in here. I'm hoping that, well, we'll see. Okay, in our modern society, mankind has developed many ways to prevent pregnancy. Okay, granted, there are reasons for women to take birth control pills. For example, a woman can have a medical issue that would exacerbate and maybe could even cause death if she were to become pregnant and try to deliver the child, if it would cause her or the child to die, right? Or her anyway. I once knew a woman, actually did, I worked with her. She had a, what do they call it? She was a hemophiliac, which is odd. All hemophiliacs are men, for the most part. Some women do get hemophilia, but it's very rare. And when they do, they can take like a K factor, and it kind of equals out the body so that if you do bleed, you don't bleed to death. But women, especially since there's so much blood involved in the childbirth, Yahweh was gracious to make it so that women could not get hemophilia, because they would all die, upon giving birth. Let's see. So, it could very well be a death sentence. So back in the days before Noah, and also in the days of Noah, Yahweh had decreed twice that mankind should be fruitful and multiply. We read it right after mankind was cast out of the garden, and after Noah after dry land appeared and everybody left the ark. Be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. And by the way, that phrase that they use in there is replenish. And because the replenish is used, there's some knuckleheads out there that say, oh, that means that especially when he was told to Adam and Chava to replenish the earth, that there must have been a plenishing before that. No, replenish just means fill. It doesn't mean that something was done over again. It just means fill. Look it up in the dictionary. I guarantee I certify that to be the truth. Okay, fruitful, multiply, and have lots of children. This command, however, was being violated in antediluvian world. A passage in the book of Jasher shows us that what men and women were doing in this regard. And let's read that. Let's see if I have an address here. Jasher 2:19 through 22. It says, "For in those days the Son of Man began to trespass against God and to transgress the commandments which he had commanded Adam to be fruitful and multiply the earth. And some of the sons of men caused their wives to drink a draught that would render them barren, in order that they may retain their figures, and whereby their beauty appeared might not fade. Their beautiful appearance might not fade. Okay. And when the sons of men caused some of their wives to drink, Zillah drank with them. And the childbearing women appeared abominable in the sight of their husbands as widows, while their husbands lived for to the barren ones only were they attracted. Okay, so in modern day English, they caused their wives to drink this drink that was a birth control agent, basically, and they caused them to drink it so that they could retain their youthful, womanly figures. And if the women didn't do that, then they just said, "The heck with you! I'm going out to the bar and I'm going to find me a woman." So, putting it in crude human terms, okay. Let's see. Okay. Well, we don't have any actual command to fill the earth, you and I. In this period of human existence on earth, Yahweh has not made that edict, unless you want to bring the one from Noah and bring it up to the present day and fulfill that one. But it still is our responsibility to procreate so that we can have a population of believers in perpetuity, right? And to just have the earth full of humans for any reason, but also for continuing the race. Let's put it that way, human race. The subject of birth control has been a hot topic in the church and everywhere, basically, for some time, and in memoriam. When a birth control pill came out in the 1960s, it was considered taboo by the Christian church, and any of their concerns are still sort of valid today. When a birth control pill evolved into not so much a deterrent anymore, abortion became much more popular, and in 1973, the Supreme Court, in effect, legalized, and we all read about Roe versus Wade, legalizing abortion. A little before this time, and afterwards, of worship became a major mode of. See, there's that typing thing again. Afterwards, let's see if I can decipher this. It became a major move. Okay, it's just saying that abortion became a major birth control device. Something it was never intended to be. When the public tides starting to turn against this practice, a scientist in a lab somewhere created something called the day after pill, which is in effect an abortion pill, because it aborts the egg, and many times when that happens, the egg has been fertilized into a zygote. Okay, in the antediluvian world, as we just read about from the book of Jasher, we see that something is very akin to the abortion pill. It was developed. The scripture we read in Jasher shows that a elixir that women felt forced to drink was not for the purpose of saving a life, or in the supposition that a child would have a birth defect or something like that would severely impact her life, the woman's life, or the life of the child. None of their men forced their women to drink what? No. The men forced their women to drink the elixir so that they could retain their beautiful figures. Okay, we've gone into that. And as we saw in the passage, if a woman refused, the husband just went out and found somebody else. Okay. So this stands for yet another parallel between the antediluvian world and our current society, thus the emphasizing even more that the return of Yeshua is probably much closer than anybody thinks. Let's look at the ancient myths about... How are we doing on time, by the way, folks? Let's see. Oh, an hour and 24. Okay. I got a couple of videos I want to show. I'm going to show at least one of them, but depending on how we do here. Ancient myths of giants across cultures. Now, wherever explorers have gone here on Earth, they've run into either myths or giants, or evidence of such as skeletons. Native Americans have myths and stories from just about every tribe that speak about their ancestors clashing with large men with polydactyl feet and hands and whose jaws contain more than one row of teeth. The book Solomon Island Mysteries is a very good book if you want to read it. It talks about this going on in the Solomon Islands in the South Pacific. It talks about a race of giants that live on some of the less inhabited islands. A deeper read of this book shows that the islands are not inhabited by people because they are inhabited by the race of giants. And they were eating the people. American soldiers in Afghanistan ran into a giant called the Kandahar Giant. Well, that's what he was named anyway. Let's see. When a squad of infantrymen had gone missing, more men went up to rescue them or find out exactly what had happened. As they approached the cave, where outside there was a whole bunch of bones. There was human bones, there was animal bones, and everything else. So they kind of got a creepy feeling that they knew where these guys went. Plus, there was equipment laying all over the place, too, that had been American military equipment that they wore on their bodies and stuff like that. So they approached the cave, and this giant comes out and throws a spear and lances one of the U.S. soldiers. And I don't think he lived very long after that. Let's see. Big spear. So the soldiers kept firing, and they realized when they fired at the body mass that nothing really happened, and so they trained their firing upon the face and the head, and finally the thing went down. There's something else I wanted to say, but I can't remember right now. Anyway, it was carted away and flown to Germany, where it disappeared. And of course, they want to get rid of anything that suggests that the Bible is right. So yes, the Matrix is full of oddities, and it even has tweaks within itself. It seems to be a reality that sometimes needs to catch up with itself. Isn't that the truth? So let's look at some modern implications. Let's compare some biotech advances with biblical warnings. Okay, so in Genesis 1:27, Yahweh said, or the scripture says, pardon me, because I got to stand for a minute. This chair in my back, do not get along all the time. All right, so God created mankind in his own image, and in his image, he created him. Male and female, he created them. This verse emphasizes the inherent value and worth of every individual, you and me and everybody else, regardless of the genetic makeup, as long as it's 46 chromosomes, which is what human beings have. Okay. Genesis 1, verse 28. God blessed them and said to them, "Be fruitful and increase in number," or multiply. "Fill the earth and subdue it." Subdue it means take it over, folks, but it means to take it, not just take it over, but to care for it, to nurture it, and things like that. It doesn't mean to build factories and to pollute the atmosphere and everything else, although that seems to be a byproduct of everything man does. So this verse suggests a creation mandate to develop and steward God's creations, its resources, including scientific advancements. And this was found in the openbible.info, and the other one was Harvard University. I want to make sure I include our sources. Okay, Proverbs 14:12. It says, "There's a way that seems right to a man, but in the end it leads to destruction." So this verse warns us against the potential consequences of biotechnological advancements that may lead to negative outcomes. That was found at wordembassy.org. That's an understatement. May lead to potential consequences of biotechnological advancements. Yeah, big time. Genesis 3 verse 5. God knows that when you eat of it, the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, your eyes will be opened. You'll be like God or gods, knowing good from evil. This verse highlights the dangers of human manipulations of nature and the potential for abuse of biotechnological advancements. Whenever man does stuff like this, he's doing it not necessarily to learn, but to become more godlike. Look at Elon Musk, who's making that thing that they're going to thread through your vein and into your head to cure you of something, but at the same time, what else can it do? Well, it could kill you if it wanted to, but it also could give anyone that is able to read it all the information about you, your body, your brain, your history, and everything else. So anyway, so these teachings serve as a reminder of the importance of ethical considerations in biotechnology and the need to align scientific advancements with the values and principles aligned in the Bible. Okay, and that was found in truthtodiefor.com. Okay. All right, now let's ask a question. Could human manipulation of genetics trigger consequences similar to Noah's time? Oh, yes, heck, yes, it can. There are many medications that have come on the market recently that have a capability to change the human genome. Some people assert that this is being done on a massive scale, and it's being done on purpose. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Okay, segment 5, reflection and interaction. Okay. So let's ask a question, okay? How do we discern ethical science from attempts to play God? Well, ethical science should always point to and affirm Scripture. Unethical science pulls people away from Scripture, and Scripture's God. It tends to minimize Scripture and bolster false science. I couldn't have put it any better. Okay, encourage sharing insights. Let's see. All right. So, let's see. Discernment is far lacking in the church today. I mean, it's almost not even there. I could tell you stories, but I won't take too long. But Yahweh gave us discernment, and if we pray for it and we get it, by gosh, we should use it, you know. And so what is it? It's kind of a way to tell if something's good or bad. Okay. Many times it's the Holy Spirit helping us with that. Okay, telling us. You might not want to go in that place. Look at the characters going in there. It might not be a good place for your health, or something like that. Or it could be from learning and from life's lessons. You know that certain things happen after certain things happen, and you don't want those to happen, so you don't do them, right? So he calls for us to have more discernment. We should pray for it, and we should use it. And believe me, it'll keep you out of a lot of trouble. It'll pull you right out of the fire, man. Sometimes I'm telling you, it's. I've had it where I've go into places and I've heard don't go in there, and I don't. And later I find out that it was not a good place. Okay. So because of that, Yahweh honors a pure heart, and if you have discernment and you have a pure heart, then man, you are cruising along with Yahweh. That's all I got to say. And that's where I want to be. That's where I hope everybody wants to be. But we need that for this to live in this yuck we live in, this matrix that we're thrown into and we're born into. We need to have forethought, not foreknowledge, but forethought, and to be smart and to think about what's right and what's wrong and what actions could happen depending on what actions you take. Okay, so all right, so Yahweh preserved the faithful remnant in Noah. He calls his people today to vigilance. Okay, so much of the church is not what I would consider the remnant of Yahweh that has reserved for himself. The remnant people are not persuaded by lies. As a matter of fact, they hate lies and will correct lies whenever they're able to. Many people attend churches as their service to Yahweh. The remnant must have an attitude where we take the gospel and share it with anyone who will listen. I see this is part of the Great Commission to be fruitful and multiply. Okay, we're not just multiplying by creating children. We're multiplying by bringing people into the kingdom and adding souls to the kingdom, and the kingdom gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and we're fruitful and it multiplies. Okay. Let's see. The flood is a warning for future judgment. Okay, this is a scripture here, real quick. I think we're getting real close to the end, folks. Okay, now we got a video or two, and then we'll be done. Okay, it says, "Whereby the world that then was, being overflowed with water, perished. But the heavens and the earth, which are now, by the same word, are kept in store, reserved unto fire against the day of judgment and perdition of all ungodly men. And that's in 2 Peter 3, 6, and 7. Yes, the earth will be destroyed again, but when that's over with, there's going to be a new heaven and a new earth. And man, is that something we're going to really like. You need to read about that, folks, and just meditate on it, what Yahweh has prepared. And remember, if it took him only 6 days to make heavens and the earth, everything you see, imagine what he's prepared for us, and it's taken him 2,000 years. Okay? All right. So the warning that's being given here, aside from the warning, is actually a prophecy, a promise to the end of all things. Yahweh, there we go. Yahweh created a new heaven and a new earth. All right, I went into all that. But when that happens, at the end of the millennium, there's something called the judgment. Okay, for the people that never knew Yahweh, it's going to be called the White Throne Judgment. Everything's going to be taken into consideration, and finally, at the end, it's going to be determined. Yeah, you might have done some nice things in your life, but it didn't quite add up to measure. And sorry, but you had your chance, and go over there. And so anyway, but none of the righteous people are going to be at the White Throne Judgment. I think it's going to be evil angels and evil people. So, but after that, actually, I think at that time too, there's a thing called the Bema Seat Judgment that Christians are going to have to go through. And there's not going to be any punishment per se, but what you've done in this life is going to be looked at and examined to see what your motives were and everything else, and you'll be given rewards. I think the Bible says that He hands out crowns to people for being faithful servants. But in retrospect, what we do is we just give them back their crowns because we say, yeah, we did it, Yahweh, but we did it because you told us to do it, and we were just being obedient to you, so you really should get the crown. Okay? Let's see. So all the people that aren't found in the Lamb's Book of Life, or the entities, I should say, after the judgment, Satan and death are cast into, and his angels are cast into the lake of fire. It says hell and death. Okay. So anyway, there's really no need to contemplate further. If you're with Yahweh, you're going to be in a new heaven and a new earth, and that's going to be for eternity. And I don't think you even have the capability, none of us do, to imagine what that's going to be like. But what I did, folks, is I downloaded a couple of videos. Let me see. Okay, so we're at 1 hour and 37 minutes. So maybe we'll watch one of them, okay? And both of these videos are a comparison of the antediluvian world and now, okay? And the reason I'm only going to do one, I think, is because one is 18 minutes. No, it can't be right. This one here is 26 minutes, and the other one's 18. So let's go for the 18, okay? And we'll see how we feel and everything. And then if we want to go, no, probably not. I don't want to go over 2 hours. So, okay. So let's watch this video. It's very interesting, and I think we're going to get a lot out of it. The world, what it was like back then and how it parallels ours. Or you just might want to watch it and see what it was like then and parallel. You might find more things than what they're showing about parallels. Okay, here we go.
Welcome to the Unraveling the Scriptures channel. What if I told you that the world before the flood was far darker and more enigmatic than we've been taught? A time when giants walked.
All right, folks, we're not going to watch that. That sound impediment that's going on there is going to drive us crazy. Let's watch this one, okay?
Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of the antediluvian period. So, let's talk about longevity. The Bible mentions some mind-blowing ages that people lived to back in the day. For instance, have you heard of Methuselah? This guy lived to be 969 years old. Can you imagine living almost a millennium? It's hard to wrap our modern minds around it, but that's what the ancient texts tell us. Methuselah wasn't the only one with an impressive lifespan. His grandfather, Jared, lived for 962 years, and his father, Enoch, clocked in at a mere 365 years. But Enoch's story has an interesting twist. He didn't die like the others. According to Genesis 5 verse 24, Enoch walked with God, then he was no more, because God took him away. It's like he was so in sync with the divine that he got a direct ticket to heaven. Now, why did these folks live so long? There are several theories. Some suggest that the environment before the flood was radically different from today. Imagine a world with a perfect climate, possibly a water canopy surrounding the Earth, creating a greenhouse effect with stable temperatures and high oxygen levels. This idyllic environment could have contributed to their longevity. Another angle to consider is the genetic purity. Adam and Eve, according to the Bible, were created perfect. Over time, as sin and corruption spread, the genetic pool may have become less robust. But in those early generations, the effects of this decline hadn't set in yet, allowing people to live much longer. Let's not forget the story of Noah. He lived to be 950 years old and was 600 years old when he built the ark and survived the flood. Think about it, 600 years of life experience before taking on one of the most significant engineering projects in history. Noah's lifespan and his pivotal role in the flood narrative show just how resilient and extraordinary these ancient people were. We can also look at other ancient texts and cultures that reference long lifespans. For instance, the Sumerian king list mentions rulers who reigned for thousands of years before a great flood. While these numbers might be exaggerated, they reflect a common belief in extraordinarily long lives during this ancient era. This incredible longevity wasn't just about numbers, it shaped the entire fabric of society. With centuries to live, imagine the knowledge and skills these people could accumulate. They could pass down wisdom and traditions through countless generations, preserving a rich cultural heritage. So, what changed? After the flood, we see a dramatic drop in lifespans. Noah's descendants lived shorter lives, with Abraham reaching 175 years, Moses 120, and by the time of King David, the typical lifespan was around 70 to 80 years, as mentioned in Psalm 90 verse 10. This decline marks a significant shift in human history and opens up a whole new set of questions about how the world transformed after this cataclysmic event. But the incredible lifespans weren't the only remarkable aspect of the antediluvian period. Let's move on to another fascinating topic, the Nephilim and other strange creatures that roamed the earth before the Great Flood. This is where things get really intriguing. In Genesis 6 verses 1 to 4, we read about the Nephilim, described as the offspring of the sons of God and the daughters of men. These beings were said to be giants, mighty and renowned. Who were these sons of God? There are different interpretations, but many believe they were fallen angels who took human wives, resulting in these powerful and often terrifying beings. The presence of the Nephilim on Earth added a whole new layer of complexity to the already chaotic and corrupt world. Imagine living in a time where not only were people living for centuries, but there were also these giant, superhuman creatures causing havoc. It's like something straight out of a myth or fantasy story, but it's right there in the ancient texts. The Book of Enoch, an ancient Jewish text not included in the canonical Bible but still influential in understanding this period, gives more details. It describes how these fallen angels, known as the Watchers, descended to earth and taught humans forbidden knowledge, like weapon making and sorcery. This led to even greater wickedness and violence, further justifying the need for the flood to reset the world. One of the most famous giants mentioned in the Bible is Og, the king of Bashan. While Og lived after the flood, his existence hints at the remnants of these ancient giants. Deuteronomy 3 verse 11 describes Og's bed as being over 13 feet long, emphasizing his enormous size. This suggests that even after the flood, the influence of the Nephilim lingered in some form. But the Nephilim weren't the only strange beings of the antediluvian world. Various ancient texts and myths from different cultures speak of other extraordinary creatures. For example, the Sumerians talked about Apkallu, part human, part fish beings who were also said to be demigods imparting wisdom to humanity. Similarly, Greek mythology is filled with stories of titans and other giant beings that bear a striking resemblance to the biblical Nephilim. These accounts, while varied, share common themes, beings of immense size and power who played significant roles in the early history of mankind. They contributed to the complexity and mystery of the world before the flood, making it a time of great wonder and fear. The ancient world was teeming with legends of extraordinary creatures. Take the Epic of Gilgamesh, one of the oldest known literary works. Gilgamesh himself was described as 2/3 god and 1/3 human, and he encountered giants and monstrous beings throughout his adventures. This epic reflects the broader ancient Near Eastern belief in a time when gods, giants, and humans interacted more freely. Another intriguing example is the lore surrounding Atlantis. While the story of Atlantis is often associated with Plato, some interpretations suggest that it might have roots in much older traditions. Atlantis was said to be a powerful and advanced civilization that eventually met a cataclysmic end, possibly paralleling the biblical flood narrative. The existence of these giants and other strange creatures wasn't just about their physical presence. Their stories and legends influenced the cultural and religious beliefs of many civilizations. They were seen as both protectors and destroyers, beings of great wisdom and terrifying power. And while the Nephilim and strange creatures roamed the earth, the antediluvian period was also a time of remarkable advancements and lost knowledge. Imagine a world where humans, with their extended lifespans, accumulated knowledge and skills that have since been lost to the sands of time. This era wasn't just about surviving, it was about thriving with advanced technologies and practices that seem almost magical to us today. Take the story of Tubal-Cain, mentioned in Genesis for verse 22. Tubal-Cain was a forger of all kinds of tools out of bronze and iron. This indicates that metallurgy was well known and advanced during this period. The skills needed to work with metals require a deep understanding of various processes, which suggests a level of sophistication that is impressive for such ancient times. This wasn't just basic toolmaking, it was a precursor to the complex technologies that would develop millennia later. Then there's Enoch, who according to the Book of Enoch, was a scribe of righteousness. Enoch is said to have received visions and knowledge from divine beings, documenting heavenly secrets that were beyond the understanding of ordinary men. The Book of Enoch describes astronomical knowledge, the movement of celestial bodies, and the concept of a solar calendar. This implies that antediluvian humans had a profound understanding of astronomy, which they used to structure their societies and religious practices. The construction of megalithic structures during this period is another fascinating topic. While there is no direct evidence from the antediluvian period, many post-flood civilizations built impressive structures that make us wonder about their predecessors. Think of the Great Pyramid of Giza or Stonehenge. These monuments required precise engineering, astronomical alignment, and an understanding of mathematics that suggests continuity from earlier, advanced knowledge. Could it be that the people before the flood had even greater capabilities? Another captivating figure is Noah himself. Building an ark to house a vast array of species isn't just a feat of divine inspiration, it also speaks to an immense understanding of animal husbandry, shipbuilding, and logistics. Noah's ability to construct such a vessel, with specific dimensions and materials, and then manage the care of countless animals, highlights an advanced level of knowledge and organization. Furthermore, the legends of Atlantis often come into play when discussing lost antediluvian knowledge. Atlantis, as described by Plato, was an advanced civilization with incredible technological prowess, ultimately meeting a catastrophic end. While Atlantis itself is a subject of debate, the story aligns with the notion of an advanced society that was lost to a cataclysm, much like the world before the flood.
That's right.
The antediluvian knowledge wasn't limited to practical skills and construction. Ancient texts and myths suggest that these people possessed wisdom and teachings that delved into the spiritual and esoteric realms. The Watchers, according to the Book of Enoch, imparted forbidden knowledge to humans, including astrology, the use of magical arts, and herbal medicine. This influx of knowledge, while enhancing human capabilities, also contributed to the moral decline that necessitated the flood. Another interesting aspect is the advanced agricultural practices that likely existed. With lifespans extending over centuries, individuals could perfect farming techniques and develop crops with higher yields. The ability to support large populations with sophisticated agricultural systems hints at a society that was both advanced and sustainable in ways we might struggle to replicate today. But even with all this advanced knowledge and remarkable lifespans, the antediluvian period was marked by a significant moral decline and corruption that ultimately led to the Great Flood. The biblical narrative gives us a stark view of a world spiraling into chaos and wickedness, so let's dive into the characters and events that illustrate this dark chapter of human history. The primary source of our understanding comes from Genesis 6 verses 5 to 6, where it states, "The Lord saw how great the wickedness of the human race had become on the earth, and that every inclination of the thoughts of the human heart was only evil all the time. The Lord regretted that he had made human beings on the earth, and his heart was deeply troubled." This paints a picture of a world consumed by violence, immorality, and corruption, far removed from the harmony that once existed in Eden. One of the most infamous figures of this time was Lamech, a descendant of Cain. Lamech's story is found in Genesis 4 verses 23 to 24, where he boasts to his wives about killing a man for injuring him, claiming that if Cain is avenged 7 times, then Lamech 77 times. This boast not only highlights the pervasive violence of the era, but also the arrogance and moral decay that had taken root. Lamech represents the epitome of lawlessness and the breakdown of societal order. The corruption wasn't limited to individuals like Lamech, it permeated society at all levels. The Book of Enoch expands on this, describing how the Watchers, fallen angels, corrupted humanity. They taught humans forbidden knowledge, which led to the proliferation of war, sorcery, and depravity. These teachings were alluring, but ultimately destructive, exacerbating the moral decline. During this period, humans also turned to idol worship and false gods. Ancient texts and archaeological findings suggest that people began creating idols and engaging in rituals that were abominations to the true God. This idolatry further distanced humanity from divine principles, deepening the moral chasm. Noah's story is a beacon of hope amid this darkness. Genesis 6 verse 9 describes Noah as a righteous man, blameless among the people of his time, and he walked faithfully with God. Noah's righteousness set him apart in a world that had lost its way. His obedience to God's command to build the ark, despite the ridicule and disbelief of those around him, underscores his unwavering faith and moral integrity. The moral decline of the antediluvian period wasn't just a series of isolated events, it was a systemic collapse of values and ethics. The violence and wickedness described in Genesis 6 verse 11, "Now the earth was corrupt in God's sight and was full of violence," suggests a society where might made right, and compassion was scarce. People exploited one another, and the powerful preyed on the weak, leading to widespread suffering and injustice. This period also saw the rise of powerful tyrants and rulers who furthered the chaos. These leaders, often depicted as giants or demigods, used their might and influence to dominate and oppress. Their reigns were marked by cruelty and excess, contributing to the overall degradation of human society. The decision to send the flood was God's response to this rampant corruption. It wasn't just a punishment but a reset, a way to cleanse the earth of the pervasive evil and start anew with Noah and his family. This drastic measure underscores the severity of the moral decay and the need for a fresh beginning. Building on the backdrop of moral decline and corruption, let's delve into the ancient civilizations and their cultures that existed during the antediluvian period. This era, shrouded in mystery and legend, reveals a tapestry of societies that were as advanced as they were enigmatic. The Sumerians, often hailed as one of the earliest civilizations, provide a fascinating glimpse into antediluvian culture. Although the Sumerians flourished after the flood, many of their legends and records hint at a sophisticated pre-flood society. For instance, the Sumerian king list documents rulers with impossibly long reigns, spanning thousands of years. This list starts with kings who reigned before the Great Deluge, suggesting a civilization with a rich history and advanced governance structures. Consider the character of Enmeduranki, a king from the Sumerian king list, who was said to have reigned for tens of thousands of years. He is often associated with the biblical Enoch, suggesting a possible connection between these ancient cultures. Enmeduranki was reputed to have been taken to heaven and given divine wisdom, much like Enoch, emphasizing the reverence these societies had for knowledge and spirituality. The architectural feats of the antediluvian civilizations are another testament to their advanced nature. Ancient texts and myths describe grand cities with towering ziggurats and intricate waterways. These cities weren't just functional, they were marvels of engineering and artistry. The legend of the Tower of Babel, although post-flood, might have roots in these earlier monumental constructions. This tower, intended to reach the heavens, symbolizes the ambition and ingenuity of humanity, even as it also represents the hubris that led to divine intervention. Let's not forget the Egyptian civilization. While its most famous monuments, like the pyramids, were built after the flood, some theories propose that the knowledge to construct such wonders was inherited from earlier, antediluvian cultures. The precision and alignment of the pyramids with celestial bodies suggest a deep understanding of astronomy, a science likely developed over many generations. In addition to their architectural prowess, these civilizations had rich cultural practices and social structures. They developed early forms of writing, like cuneiform and hieroglyphics, enabling them to record laws, transactions, and stories. This advancement in communication was crucial for the administration of vast cities and the preservation of knowledge. Imagine a bustling city like Eridu, often considered one of the first cities in history. Eridu was a center of religion and culture, home to elaborate temples and bustling markets. Its society was likely hierarchical, with priests and rulers at the top, guiding both spiritual and civic life. Trade was another cornerstone of these ancient cultures. The exchange of goods, ideas, and technologies fostered a network of interconnected societies. From the Indus Valley to Mesopotamia, trade routes spanned continents, facilitating cultural diffusion and economic prosperity. These routes were the lifelines of antediluvian civilization, allowing for the spread of innovations like the wheel, plough, and sailboat. Cultural practices during this period were deeply intertwined with religion. The gods and goddesses of these ancient civilizations were central to daily life, influencing everything from agriculture to politics. Religious rituals were elaborate and often involved sacrifices and ceremonies aimed at appeasing deities and ensuring prosperity. Temples served as both religious and economic centers, highlighting the integral role of spirituality in societal organization. Moreover, the antediluvian period was rich with myth and legend. Stories of creation, great heroes, and divine interventions were passed down through generations, forming the backbone of cultural identity. These myths, while often fantastical, provide valuable insights into the values and beliefs of ancient peoples. For instance, the Epic of Gilgamesh, one of the oldest known literary works, tells the story of a king's quest for immortality, reflecting the human desire to transcend mortality and achieve greatness. Before the flood, many believe that the earth was enveloped in a water canopy, a concept supported by interpretations of Genesis 1 verses 6 to 7, which speaks of waters above the firmament. This canopy would have created a greenhouse effect, leading to a stable, warm climate globally. No harsh winters, no blistering summers, just a perfect, temperate environment year-round. This kind of climate would have been ideal for agriculture, allowing crops to grow abundantly and providing sustenance for large populations. Consider the lushness of the world described in these ancient times. Imagine dense forests, vast meadows, and fertile land stretching as far as the eye could see. Rivers and streams, full of life, crisscrossed the landscape, providing water and a means of transport. The description of the Garden of Eden in Genesis gives us a glimpse of this paradise-like environment, abundant with flora and fauna, a true haven for early humans and animals alike. Speaking of animals, the antediluvian world was teeming with creatures that might seem mythical to us today. The Bible's references to behemoths and leviathans, coupled with the existence of giant reptiles and megafauna in other ancient texts, suggest a time when humans coexisted with incredible beasts. The stable climate and rich environment would have supported these large creatures, providing them with ample food and habitat. The longevity of humans during this period can also be tied to these environmental conditions. The increased oxygen levels and reduced radiation, thanks to the water canopy, could have contributed to the extended lifespans mentioned earlier. This pristine world, unmarred by pollution or the drastic climatic changes we experience today, was a perfect setting for life to thrive in its most robust form. Take the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, often associated with the cradle of civilization in Mesopotamia. These rivers, nourished by the ideal climate, supported some of the earliest known agricultural societies. Their predictable flooding cycles deposited rich silt on the land, making it incredibly fertile and capable of supporting vast populations. The environment was a crucial factor in the rise of these early civilizations, providing the resources needed for sustained growth and development. The antediluvian world also featured unique geographical formations. Imagine towering mountains, expansive plains, and majestic waterfalls. This diverse topography was not just beautiful, but also functional, offering natural resources like minerals, fertile soils, and fresh water. The Book of Enoch and other ancient texts describe vast gardens, mystical valleys, and sacred groves, painting a picture of a world where nature's bounty was revered and carefully managed. The interaction between humans and this environment was symbiotic. Early humans developed advanced agricultural techniques, taking full advantage of the fertile land and favorable climate. They practiced sustainable farming, crop rotation, and irrigation methods that ensured the land remained productive for generations. This harmonious relationship with nature was a cornerstone of antediluvian society, highlighting their deep understanding of the natural world. Furthermore, the environment played a crucial role in shaping the spiritual beliefs and practices of these early civilizations. The natural world was seen as a manifestation of divine power, with mountains, rivers, and forests considered sacred. Religious rituals often took place in natural settings, emphasizing the connection between the divine and the earthly. This reverence for nature is evident in the construction of temples and monuments aligned with celestial bodies, reflecting a profound respect for the cosmos and its influence on earthly life. And as we journey through the antediluvian period, one of the most compelling aspects is how flood myths and legends span across different cultures, creating a tapestry of stories that reflect the universal impact of this cataclysmic event. The story of the Great Flood is not unique to the Bible. It appears in numerous ancient texts, each adding a layer of depth to our understanding of this profound event. Take the Epic of Gilgamesh from ancient Mesopotamia. In this epic, we meet Utnapishtim, a character remarkably similar to Noah. Utnapishtim is warned by the god Ea about an impending flood meant to destroy humanity. He is instructed to build a massive boat to save himself, his family, and a collection of animals. The flood in this story is devastating, covering the earth in water and wiping out all but those who were on the boat. Sound familiar? This tale, predating the biblical account, highlights a shared narrative across ancient cultures. Moving eastward, we find the Hindu myth of Manu, the first man in Indian tradition. Manu is warned by a fish, an avatar of the god Vishnu, about a great deluge. He builds a boat and saves himself, along with the 7 sages and various seeds, ensuring the survival of life. After the floodwaters recede, Manu repopulates the earth. This story, like those of Utnapishtim and Noah, underscores a divine warning, a righteous individual, and the preservation of life through a massive flood. In China, there's the legend of Nuwa, a goddess who repaired the pillars of heaven and saved humanity from a great flood. While the story differs in details, the theme of a flood bringing about a significant transformation or renewal of the world is a constant. Nuwa's actions to save humanity and restore balance mirror the redemptive aspects found in other flood myths. In the Americas, the Aztec myth of Coxcox tells of a man and his wife who survive a flood by floating in a hollow tree. They emerge after the waters subside and repopulate the earth. Similarly, the Inca civilization speaks of a great flood from which only a few people were saved by taking refuge on mountain tops. These stories reflect the widespread nature of flood legends, each adapted to the cultural context of the people telling them. These flood myths are more than just stories, they are cultural memories of a significant event that had a lasting impact on human civilization. They serve as allegories for divine judgment and mercy, highlighting themes of destruction and rebirth. The prevalence of these stories suggests that the idea of a great flood resonated deeply across diverse cultures and geographies. Archaeological evidence supports the occurrence of significant flood events in ancient times. Sediment layers and geological formations indicate massive flooding in various regions, lending credence to these myths. For instance, the discovery of a large flood layer in the Mesopotamian region aligns with the timing of the Epic of Gilgamesh and the biblical flood, suggesting a shared historical basis. These stories also illustrate the interconnectedness of human societies. Despite differences in language, religion, and geography, the flood myths show how ancient people grappled with similar existential questions and natural phenomena. They reflect a shared human experience, a collective memory of survival and renewal. As we conclude our exploration of the antediluvian period, it's clear that the Great Flood left an indelible mark on human history and culture. The stories of Noah, Utnapishtim, Manu, and countless others remind us of the resilience and ingenuity of our ancestors. They faced immense challenges, yet their tales of survival continue to inspire and inform us today. Thank you for watching this video to the end. I hope you found it as fascinating as I did. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more deep dives into ancient history and mythology. God bless you all.
Well, there you have it, folks. Pretty interesting. I mean, it went into a lot more than we were looking at. I mean, it went into conditions on Earth and stuff like that. Sorry, I got an unruly dog here. But it talked about the human condition and how humanity had become corrupt and corrupt enough for Yahweh to have to destroy the earth. And it's interesting how... Hold on. There. It's interesting how... yeah, stupid dog. I lost my train of thought. But... here we go. It's just... I like making the parallels. I really do. Because... Stupid dog. Because it makes me see that... that Yahweh will do anything He has to do in order to get our attention, in order to straighten us out, in order to get us turned to the right direction. And it's a blessing to see these things and to know that He cares enough to do that for us. But I was going to say, it's interesting how the Matrix. What a full-length movie it would make, if you were to do the Matrix of the Earth from the time that it started with the willful disobedience in the Garden of Eden, and the return of Yeshua, and then 1,000 years, and then the new heaven and new earth. I mean, it would be a week-long movie at least, and even longer if you went into a lot of the different details and really went with a fine-tooth comb into everything. But yeah, so the Matrix persists. It persists before the flood and after the flood, and all the way up to the time that Yeshua returns. Okay, it's interesting to important actually to know that, because helping to know time frames helps us to narrow down things and to figure things out. Boy, did I get through that one, huh? Anyway, so all this having been said, we can see how, man, where do I begin with this? It's, how do I begin the ending? Just taking into account all that we've looked at, and all that we've watched and all we've heard and everything else, and today, in this study and in this radio show, it's it's. I'll give you an example. It's like watching a movie, right? Of a subject you really like, and I'm finding out that there's a book about that. Okay. And then you go and you read the book and you find out all the little nuances that they didn't show in the movie. Okay. Sometimes it's a whole different plot, but still it's akin to it, and it still helps you to understand a little more of what's going on. And then if, as so often happens, like with movies that people really like, you have the people that go in and maybe interview the author of the book, or interview the producer, have you, and having done so, they give you even more insight into what it's all about. So that's what this whole Matrix thing is about. And Yeah, it's hard living in this matrix. It really is. It's a difficult thing, and it's, man, how I wish it was just perfect like it was supposed to be. And hold on, no, don't chew on that. Dog will chew on anything. But yeah, it's interesting being a part of this whole story that Yahweh has started. And that it could have gone a different way, but didn't. And so he had to make it go this way so that ultimately he could correct everything that we did wrong. Okay? Because in Adam and Eve, or Adam and Chava, it's not just what they did. It's what we all did, because we were all subject to the matrix after that, to the sin nature. I like using the word matrix a lot better than sin nature, don't you? And it's being on the winning side of it, of course, is nice, and not being the on the losing side, like the devil side and stuff like that. We're the characters who are going to perish forever after this whole matrix thing is over with. But just living it, and it's kind of an honor, isn't it? It's like Yahweh is asking you to live in a, well, I don't know, maybe some of you wouldn't consider that this way, but it's like being asked to perform in a very, very prestigious thing that's going to go on, and that you're a special part of it, because we are all special parts of the matrix, of our existence in the matrix. We're not part of the matrix. Ooh. I mean, people that don't know Yahweh are, okay, but because they choose to live in it and be ignorant about it, they just don't know. They are part of it. They're just like we're part of the kingdom of heaven. They're part of the kingdom of matrix. So anyway, we should consider ourselves blessed that we've been called out of the matrix. And what's really interesting about this is that before Adam and Eve ever did what they did, eat the fruit and disobeyed Yahweh, before that, Yahweh called you and me, okay? He knew us by name. He called you and me, and it says in Scripture that he ordained us to be us in him from the foundation of the world. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that just truly amazing that before the world ever existed, before he created one atom, before he created a planet, the sun or the earth, whatever, you and me were in his eyes. We were in his image. He was thinking of us. And he is majestic and mighty enough to have thought about each and every one of us too. So that's what makes me believe even more that that we were predestined for this existence. Yes, we made a choice, but Yahweh knew we were going to make the choice. Now, does he know that the people that aren't going to make the choice aren't going to do it? Yes, he does. But he can't. We're not slaves. We're free peoples, and he can't dictate to us what we can believe or not believe. That's what faith is all about, right? We come to him in faith. He says to the disciples in one of the scriptures, he says, you guys are blessed because of everything you've seen. Let me elaborate in that. I'll go even further than he went, but you've seen me heal the sick. You've seen me feed the hungry. You've seen me bring the dead back to life. But you know what? In all the blessing of that, even more blessed are going to be the people that believe, that have faith in me, meaning Yeshua, and believe in me, meaning Yeshua, who have never seen any of it, who have read your words, talking to the disciples and the apostles, who have read your words and believe by faith that all these things happen. Okay? So while they got the pleasure of seeing all this, oh man, it wouldn't be nice to go back and just to witness all that stuff. I mean, it would be awesome. But what's even more awesome is that we're special people among other special peoples. We're the post crucifixion, post resurrection generation, a very long generation, 2,000 years, but part of this group. And what an honor it is that he's chosen us in this time and in this day to be who we are, when we are, what we are, and why we are. And why are we? Because he chose us from the foundation of the world. He knew that David was going to be one of his before anything ever existed. He knew that you, put your name there, were going to be you before, and you were going to be in him before in him even existed. I want to make sure I'm not going anti-scriptural here. Yeah, it does sound kind of weird, doesn't it? He knew that everything that was going to happen before it happened. Okay, let's just put it that way. And he knew us before we were. And he even says to, what is it, to Jeremiah, I think he says, I knit you in your mother's womb. He forms us. The whole time we're in our mother's bellies or in our wombs, he's putting us together because we are special to him. We're predestined. We're special to him, and he wants us to be everything that we can be while we can be it and when we can be it. Okay? I'm going into stuff I knew over and over again, so I really got to stop and shut up and just put an end to this show. But anyway, I just want you to realize how special you are, how you should be honored to be who you are and be in whom you are. Okay? You are the sons of the Most High God. You are the sons of God. In the New Testament, or I should say, the Brit Hadashah, the second covenant, he makes us the sons of God. That has nothing to do with the pre-sons of God back in the Old Testament or the Tanakh. But it's almost like we're taking their place. I don't think we quite are. Maybe we are. I don't know. Maybe those of us that come to believe in Yeshua take the place of, or are added to the number of the sons of God that are in heaven. I don't know. We don't become angels. I don't believe that. Okay? We will still be human beings that are saved by grace and have glorious bodies just like Yeshua has. We'll be even higher than the angels in heaven. But it's just glorious that what we have in store for us, the things that are going to happen here in the near future, and the things that will be happening for eternity through us, in us, but mostly through him. Okay, folks, I'm going to get out of this, okay? I want to thank anybody that has been watching from, everybody's been watching from whatever format, okay? But especially from Facebook, if you're on here tonight, and there's a good chance if you are that you're a friend or relative of me, and hey, this is what it is, guys. It's what it is, what I do twice a week, and all I want to do is bring glory to the Lord. And you know that. You know my heart, if you know me. So, blessings to everybody that's listening on Facebook and also on Telegram, on BitChute, Trovo, Kick, Rumble, YouTube, and Twitch. And we'll see you on Thursday. And should I let you know what the topic might be on Tuesday? I don't know if I've had that called up. But I can call it up real quick, okay? You guys are special enough. You need to know, okay? All right, Series 2, Table of Contents. There it is. All right, so we've done the Angelic Council. Tonight we did the Days of Noah 2.0. Tomorrow, or Thursday, is Satan's Throne Throughout History. It's pretty deep, folks. It really is. I've been working on it, and it's something that... well, you'll see on Thursday, okay, if you're here. Okie dokie. Well, folks, I'm out of here. Vaya con Dios. Go with God, and be blessed in Yeshua's name. Have a wonderful Wednesday. Whatever you're going to do, if it's at work or if you're off and you're going to... if it's not raining like it is here, go out and have fun. If it's raining like it is here, stay in and read a book or something. Do something relaxing and something that'll make you feel happy that you did it. Okay? All right, so hold on, folks. I got a lot to do here to get out of here. All right, so bye, folks. Oh, may Yahweh bless you and keep you. May he make his face to rise upon you, be gracious unto you. May he watch your going out and your coming in, your rising up and your lying down. And may he give you the peace that passes all understanding. And may Yahweh give you tonight and tomorrow night something really special that you've always desired, always wanted, even if it's just knowledge, even if it's just a hug from him, to affirm that he loves you, you know. I just pray that whatever that is, whatever proof he's got to give to you that he loves you and that he's there with you, that he does that tonight, tomorrow, or tomorrow night, or throughout the rest of your life. How about? Okay, hey, bye folks. Love you guys. See you Thursday. Bye.